This training is designed to help you confidently run your shift, accept and complete trips, and stay compliant with our logging, payment, and communication standards. Now open the Taxi Caller Driver app and sign in using the credentials you were provided. If this is your first time signing in on a device, you may also need to enter the company ID before your username and password. Once you are logged in, you are connected to our system. But being logged in is not the same thing as being available for work. To become visible and available to receive trips, you must start a shift. On the home screen of the Taxi Caller app, tap Start Shift in the top left. You'll see a list of vehicles. Vehicles shown in red are typically occupied, meaning another driver is already using that unit. Scroll until you find your assigned vehicle number, tap it, and then tap Start Shift. Once you do that, you'll see an indicator at the top that you are currently on a shift, and the Start Shift button will change to End Shift. When you are working, you want to remain on shift so you stay available in the system. Now that we've already toured the tools around the app, let's move into the most important section, Job View. Job View is where you will spend most of your time while working. If you are not currently on a shift, Job View may not appear. This is intentional because you are not meant to operate jobs unless you have officially started your shift. When you open Job View, you'll see your current job and any upcoming jobs in your queue. Each job includes the pickup address, drop-off address, time, passenger details, and notes if provided. In some cases, you may see extra detail for online bookings, such as confirmation and tracking information. If the trip is a corporate or account trip, Job View will clearly indicate the account name or account number, so you can recognize it immediately. For example, an airline crew trip may show passenger counts, bags, and an account area that makes it obvious this is billed through a company account rather than paid by the passenger. Here is the golden rule for starting trips in Taxi Caller. As soon as you turn your attention to a trip, press Start. That means the moment you begin heading toward that pickup, you press Start. If the app does not allow you to start, it may be because the trip is scheduled too far in the future and it is too early. That restriction exists to prevent mistakes and confusion. When you press Start, you'll see a triangle navigation icon appear next to the pickup address. That triangle is your built-in GPS button. In other words, it becomes difficult to start driving toward a pickup without pressing Start first, because Start is what triggers the navigation controls. This is also very important for online bookings because pressing Start can trigger a passenger notification that you are on the way and may provide them a tracking link so they can follow your progress. When you tap the triangle next to the pickup, you will often be asked whether you want to navigate to the address or to the coordinates. Always choose coordinates. Addresses can be incorrect, or the pickup may be a location name instead of a precise street address. Coordinates are almost always more accurate. After you choose coordinates, your route will begin in Google Maps. If you prefer, you can run Google Maps in a mini screen. In Google Maps, open the menu and enable the mini screen or picture-in-picture style view. This allows you to return to Taxi Caller while still hearing audio directions, which is especially helpful once the passenger is in the car and you need the meter controls visible. As you are heading to the pickup, your status will typically be Call Out. Call Out simply means you are on the way. When you arrive at the pickup location, Taxi Caller will automatically move into wait mode. In many cases, a pop-up may ask if you want to switch to wait mode, and if you don't respond, it will switch automatically. Wait mode gives the passenger a short window of free wait time to get into the vehicle, which is normal and expected. The meter is not fully running yet, but after the free wait time expires, it will begin charging. Once the passenger is actually in the vehicle, you must press POB, which stands for Passenger On Board. This is one of the most important buttons in the entire workflow. Pressing POB starts the meter and changes the fare logic from waiting time into the correct calculation that includes mileage. Do not forget POB. Taxi Caller includes a built-in fail-safe to help you remember Passenger On Board. The navigation triangle next to the drop-off address will not appear until you press Passenger On Board. That means you can't navigate to the destination unless the meter has been properly started. This is intentional, and it's there to prevent you from accidentally driving a passenger without the meter running. Once you press Passenger On Board, you will see the meter automatically add the base rate and begin calculating the fare. At that point, Go back to the trip screen and tap the triangle next to the drop-off address, again choosing coordinates whenever possible. Then drive the passenger to the destination. As you approach the destination, you may see a button labeled CLR, short for clearing. This button appears only when you are close enough to the drop-off. Clearing signals to dispatch in the system that you're almost finished and will soon be ready for another job. In busy periods, this can help reduce downtime because the system can begin lining up your next assignment. When you arrive at the destination and the passenger is ready to exit, press Delivered. Delivered ends the trip and opens the checkout screen. You will confirm the total fare and then select the correct payment method. If the passenger is paying cash, select cash and complete the checkout. If the passenger is paying by card, select Card Present. Card Present will automatically open Square and automatically transfer the total amount, so you don't have to manually switch apps and type it in. This reduces errors and makes checkout faster. Square is also set up so the passenger can add gratuity if they choose, depending on the configuration. In general, tipping is never required, but it is always appreciated. Passengers can tip by adding a tip on the card payment or by giving cash directly. However, for certain corporate clients, especially airline crew transportation, drivers are not allowed to request gratuity. Keep it professional, process the trip exactly as instructed, and do not ask crew members for tips. Receipts are also part of professional service. Passengers may request a receipt, and drivers should be prepared to provide one. You can provide digital receipts through Square for both card and cash transactions by text or email. That's one reason your Square profile must be correctly configured with your contact information. If the passenger needs a payment confirmation later, they should be able to reach you directly rather than calling the office. After checkout is complete, the job will clear from your screen and your next job will appear. Now let's talk about account trips because they look and behave a little differently. In Job View, account trips will display the account name and account number and often show a flat rate rather than a meter-based fare. For example, an airline crew trip may show a flat rate like $30. On these trips, the meter is not run as a normal cash trip because the fare is an agreed-upon account rate. You still complete the workflow the same way. Start when you are heading toward the pickup, navigate to coordinates, let the app switch you to wait mode when you arrive, press Person on Board when the passenger is in the vehicle, and navigate to the drop-off. When you arrive and press Delivered, the checkout total will already reflect the rate. At that point, confirm the total and select the correct option for account billing, such as account or billed, depending on what is shown. The key rule is simple. The passenger does not pay you directly on account trips. Do not collect cash or run a card payment unless the trip clearly indicates it is a public pay trip. One more important detail. If you try to start an account trip too early, you may see a message like, "Failure, no permission." That usually means the trip is scheduled for later and it is too early to start it in the app. When that happens, double-check the pickup time and wait until it is appropriate to begin heading to the pickup. Next, let's cover street hails and other non-dispatched cash trips. Sometimes you may finish a trip and immediately pick up another passenger who flagged you down or asked for a ride at a hotel. If the trip is not already in your queue and not offered by the system, you must still log it properly. This is done using the Busy button. Tap Busy, and a box will appear requiring details. You must enter the drop-off address and at least the first name of the passenger. Then confirm. When you do this, Taxi Caller creates a temporary job in your queue and starts the meter. The reason for entering the passenger name and destination is not just convenience. It ensures the trip is recorded properly, and it prevents your trip log from being filled with unknown passenger names and unknown destinations. In rare cases, the City of Mobile can request a complete log of your trips. If your trip log is complete because you used Taxi Caller correctly, it is easy to produce. If your log is full of unknown entries, it becomes a problem you don't want because you may have to reconstruct trips manually. So take 10 seconds, enter at least the first name and the destination, and keep your record clean. When you start a street hail with Busy, the system often assumes the passenger is already on board, and you may be placed directly into POB status. If for some reason you need the meter to pause, like you are not actually moving yet, use Pause. Be aware that some buttons may not visually highlight when you tap them, but your status does change. Focus on the status indicator and the fare behavior rather than the highlight color. In POB mode, you are charging based on mileage while moving. If you need to charge waiting time, such as when a passenger asks you to stop at a store and you are waiting, you must switch into waiting mode manually. When the passenger returns and you begin driving again, it is very important that you press start again to return to the mileage-based calculation. Think of it like this. Waiting is time-based and driving is mileage-based, and it is your responsibility to switch correctly. If you accidentally press stop, it behaves like pause until you press reset. The only button that truly wipes out the meter and should be avoided unless you are certain is reset. Do not press reset unless you truly mean to reset the meter. As you near the drop-off, use CLR when it becomes available. Then at the destination, press delivered, confirm the fare, select cash or card present, and complete checkout. Once the street hail trip is complete, you will return to your normal queue and see your next scheduled trip. Now let's cover away mode. Away mode is for short breaks when you do not want to be offered normal trips. Tap away and select an estimated duration. We strongly encourage drivers not to end their shift for short breaks like a restroom stop, because ending your shift and signing back in can place you back at the bottom of the job queue. Away mode keeps you on shift while temporarily unavailable. Even while in away mode, you may still receive broadcast notifications in certain situations. Broadcast offers are essentially the system asking for help because a trip could not be assigned normally. It is not required that you take it, but if you can, you may choose to return to available mode and accept. The main idea is that away mode protects your position and keeps you connected, while still giving you space for short breaks. It's also worth understanding how consistency affects earnings. The system tracks shift behavior, such as average shift length. If you log in for 2 hours, log out for 1 hour, log in again, and repeat, you can unknowingly reduce your earnings because you repeatedly send yourself to the back of the line. Staying signed in and available, when you're able, tends to correlate with better earnings and smoother workflow. The chat tab exists for communication with dispatch and other drivers, but it should be used wisely. Dispatch may send occasional messages, and you may sometimes need to respond. Voice messages can be useful because they're faster than typing. Voice messages can be directed to dispatch only, other drivers only, or everyone, depending on settings. However, do not rely on chat for urgent or time-sensitive issues. If something is urgent, especially something involving an uncovered trip or a safety problem, call leadership directly. Taxi Caller also includes a silent alarm feature for driver safety. If you ever face a situation where you need immediate help but cannot safely or discreetly make a call, you can activate the silent alarm by pressing and holding the shadowed corner area of the away button until a red dot appears. This sends an alert to dispatch with your name, vehicle, and location. This feature is for real safety situations. It is not for routine operational issues. Finally, when you are truly done for the day, end your shift properly. Tap End Shift and choose End Shift first. Once your shift has ended, then you can sign out if needed. Ending the shift first ensures your status is correctly updated and your shift data is recorded properly. That wraps up the Taxi Caller Driver app workflow. If you follow the same flow every time, start when you head to the pickup, navigate by coordinates, use wait at arrival, press POB when the passenger's on board, use delivered for checkout, and log street hails through busy, you will stay organized